Before this, I would constantly jump between apps like Drafts, Apple Notes, Notion, Google Docs, and create these scattered collections of ideas that didn't talk to each other. And without having an organized collection of ideas, deciding which videos to move forward with each week has been kind of like a messy process for me. So in this video, I'll share my new workflow and how I designed it into my app. By the end, you should be able to take my workflow and translate it into any of the note-taking apps that you use day to day and start building out that library of content that you can use as inspiration for your own videos. And if you're new here, my name is Ricky. I'm building a content planning app and sharing all of my lessons learned here on this channel. So whenever I have a new idea come up, it's usually just like this rough draft kind of concept. Like I just have an idea of what I want to talk about. So I might not know exactly how to package it. It hasn't been put through any of these like title formats or anything like that. It's just an idea that I have and I want to make sure that I capture it and I write it down. So what I'll normally do is I'll pick up my phone, I'll open up an app called Drafts, which is like a quick capture kind of thing. And I'll just write down the concept of the idea very roughly. And the whole point is that I got excited about this idea and I just want to have it for later so that I can flush it out and turn it into a real video. Your brain's kind of like constantly working in the background to come up with ideas for you, even if you don't know that it's happening. And so it's kind of wasted energy if you aren't able to, at the very least, keep it for a moment in time that you're able to go and flush it out. But part of the problem here is that I have thousands of these little notes and little sheets just all over the place. And it's not just in Drafts. Sometimes I'll be in front of the computer when I have a good idea and I'll write it, I'll put it into Notion because I happen to have that open, or I'll throw it into, a Google Doc because I was like, you know what, I want to try to, flush this out completely right now in this moment. And that's where it starts to live. At the end of the day, I end up with this disorganized, disconnected maze of ideas that I can never really go back to. So my goal with this was to be able to take ideas when they come in and organize them in a way that I can continue to build upon over time. So in theory, like as time goes on, it should be easier for me to know what I'm going to be making content about from week to week and really start to batch schedule things out ahead of time. Now, let me show you the actual design of the system here. So if I click into this series, I've organized all of my video ideas into 3 different stages: drafts, scheduled, and posted. In this drafts folder, I can see every idea that I wanted to write down for the future. And again, these are just concepts, these are just starting points. And once I've found an idea that I know that I want to prioritize, what I'll do is I'll set a scheduled date for it. I actually realized that I need the sheet halfway on the viewport so that I can get to those buttons at the bottom here. And I also want to get rid of this label, select date, and there's no reason for that because it's pretty obvious what I'm doing. And so whenever I'm ready to start working on my content, what I can do is look at the scheduled list and work through the titles and the thumbnails for every idea in this list, or as many as I can get through. And then of course the last stage is posted content, so I can see my actual output. When it comes to actually generating and organizing these ideas, building out a list of topics that I'm going to be talking about often is crucial for me. Having these buckets where I can throw content ideas into is helpful, and it just lets my brain know like, oh hey, you just learned about something in regards to design. Maybe take a note of that. While I'm working with an AI model, I figured out a way to get a better output. Oh, I'll write that down. It's probably something I can talk about later. Let me throw that lesson in the AI bucket. And a little trick I like to use to come up with these topic ideas pretty quickly is if I have a content series or, at least a format that I'm constantly making with. For example, I'm building a content planning app, so I can kind of anticipate the types of problems that I'm going to have to solve along my journey of accomplishing that. I'll definitely need to think through my product strategy. There's going to be a lot of design, AI, engineering. How am I going to grow the app? How do I make a landing page for it? How do I post it? How do I get it onto the App Store? Things like that. And there's going to be things that come up that I don't really know I'm going to be talking about, but I can add that to the list as I go. And then there's also all of like the domain specific stuff, right? So if you're building an app, what space are you building it in? There's probably a lot of different information in that space that's helping you to actually create the app. And you can use those as topics. Keeping track of the things that I learn is not only helpful for these videos that I'm making, but it actually informs the product itself. But no matter what you're building an app around, you can always keep track of the different problems, solutions, stories, lessons that you've learned, and build a running list of ideas that you can start to build content around. And again, you don't even have to know how you're going to tell the story yet. You can start to filter these ideas into tried and true formats that match you as a founder or even as your company. By the way, if you're struggling to actually come up with ideas, say like, organizing isn't the problem. I can't even come up with any right now. Here's a very quick and effective way that I like to think about it. It's easiest for me to pull content ideas from past, present, or future experiences. Your unique experiences can't actually be replicated, and I find it easier to talk through them through your own perspective or your own formats, your own style, however you want to do it, even if they are topics that are like widely talked about. The hardest way to make content is to try to talk about things that you've just like never actually experienced. And at the very least, pick things that you are passionate about. It won't be hard to come up with ideas that way. By the way, speaking of formats, I just very recently realized how important they are. There's actually already a ton, like hundreds, we're talking hundreds of different types of formats that they're used in Hollywood, they're used in movies, they're used in regular YouTube and other content all over the internet. And they're set up in a way that people just like naturally want to consume content already. There's social media platform formats they have to keep track of. There's creative video formats. There's title formats, thumbnail formats, hook formats, storytelling format. And there's like hundreds of each of these that you can start to play with. So I've decided that it's important to start keeping track of the different formats that I think I could use in my own content, start to experiment with and play with. I'm making these like talking head cinematic style vlogs, but I am open to the idea that I can continue to iterate on this. So in the app, I have a very simple spot for selecting which format this piece of content actually is gonna have. And later on, hopefully I'll be able to build out the related structures for titles, thumbnails, hooks, shot lists, etc. But for now, at the very least, I know, hey, here's this video idea, and this is the type of format that I think could go well with it. So I've designed this directly into my iOS app, but you can still take everything that's on this screen and apply it to your note-taking app of choice. So to recap, try to think through the top level stages that your content idea is going to move through. You're going to start with a draft. You're going to eventually schedule it. You can get as granular as you like to. In my app, I'm going to be able to click on, any of these ideas and flush them out in the pre-production phases. You can add that to your stages if you'd like to in something like Notion. But overall, your idea is going to move from an initial draft to actually getting scheduled and then posted on a platform. And you can create this pretty easily in some type of a Kanban board. Second, you want to come up with a list of topics that you want to talk about on your channel. And these topics could be in relation to a series or a goal outcome that either you or your ideal audience are currently pursuing. And once you have that list, for any given video, you can actually run through it and start to think of, from a design perspective, are there any insights that I want to talk about in this video? From a insert any topic you have. It just gives you more fuel, more ideas that you can use to make your videos more valuable if you're struggling with what to talk about. And aside from that, it's going to help you organize all of your ideas into those different topic buckets. And then lastly, you can add tags for the different types of platforms and creative formats that you think a video would fit best in. By the way, I don't know if I talked much about the platform formats. I really just mean a YouTube short versus a YouTube video, versus a YouTube community post, which is not a video, but that's an idea. Once you've actually picked a platform, you can pick a format and then a creative format within that you'd like to wrap your story inside of. And so with this very simple way of thinking about it, before you've even written a official title for your video idea, you'll have much more clarity on which ideas you actually want to pursue, instead of trying to organize this all in your head or in a random note-taking app that isn't actually built for content. So it's wonderful that I have all these ideas in the app right now, but I actually don't have a backend for this app. In order to actually see it in my app, what I was able to do was take my list from Apple Notes and convert it into a master content list that the app can reference. So this is all just like mock data essentially, but I'm actually using the data. And whenever I want to update the list, I use Cursor and a simple model like ChatGPT 4o to update the list with the title name and the scheduled date if I have one, the platform formats, the creative formats, the topics that I think this video would go with. Yeah, so that way I get all of the benefits of having an organized system without yet having a backend in there. One day I will. I would even really love it to like connect to iCloud. That's for a future day. Yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this helps you start to think through how you can create content and market your apps and your products. If you have any questions about building out your own content workflows or strategies, let me know in the comments. It really helps to think through what type of videos that I should make. Also, feel free to send me a DM on X or Instagram. I'm on there. Yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.